Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here with the profile for my Eyes Beatdown deck, a powerful toolbox of burn damage, removal, and negation, which harnesses every extra deck monster and wields the combined support of both dragons and pendulums. It's pretty neat. For a monster lineup, we have 3 of the Miggity Mac Daddy himself, the king of pendulum scales, Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon, 2 big beat sticks, 1 polymerization on legs, 3 Pepsi, 3 wild cherry Pepsi, 1 mighty pendulum donut, 3 ways to summon Time Gazer from the deck, 2 Pepsi Max, 1 Dragon Shrine target, that Time Gazer I mentioned a second ago, Diet Pepsi, 3 Archfiend multi-tools, and 1 little tuner boy. For spells, we have 2 Pot of Greed, but for pendulums, 3 Pendulum, 2 Foolish Burial, but for dragons, a terraforming, 1 Foolish Burial for everything, I suppose, 3 Pepsi Rhoda with the refreshing taste of destruction, and 3 Skyruses. Our extra deck consists of 1 motherfucking Gatlin Ghoul, Super Polyvenom Fusion Dragon, 2 Pepsi Twist with a hint of negation, 1 Crystal Pepsi, 1 Dancing in the Moonlight Dragon, Vortex Dragon in disguise, Toll Dragon, Mine, Avra to the Max, Moral Boral, Zephyra Metaltown, the Patron Saint of Pendulums, a Wee Little Witch, and the Dragon Balls. The side deck I'll go over in a bit. So this deck is just a mite bit difficult to play. There's a lot of 1 of and 2 of cards in here, most of which are pendulums, meaning they have multiple uses depending on if you play them as spells or monsters. Between our actual spells and Electromite, you can search pretty much anything in the deck, meaning you can toolbox whatever you need at any given time, assuming you do things in the right order. And also, while this deck is primarily designed as a go-second beatdown deck, it can play the go-first build-a-board game just as well by turboing out several disruptions. All of that together means this is a very complex deck with a lot of variables. Because of that, I can't really explain this deck's linear game plan like I normally do. So instead I'm just going to go card by card and explain what each thing does and how important it is to the overall strategy. Hopefully that should shed some light onto what this thing is capable of and just how it plays. So for starters, the most important card in this deck is Odd Eyes Arc Pendulum Dragon. Mercifully, it's a normal monster, so all you have to do is remember its pendulum effect, which is amazing. It says, once per turn, if an Odd Eyes card is destroyed, you can summon an Odd Eyes monster from the deck. This is good in general because it means anytime your opponent destroys your shit, you float into something else, but it's especially good in combination with our field spell, Sky Iris. This lets you destroy a card you control in order to search an Odd Eyes card from the deck. Meaning if you have this, Arc Pendulum, and any of our other Odd Eyes monsters, you can go plus like a grade schooler with a calculator. Just place Arc Pendulum and the other Odd Eyes into the scale, and then use Sky Iris to pop that other scale. Not only will you search everything in the archetype, but you'll also summon anything in the archetype as well. And if you complete your scales again, you can just summon back whatever you destroyed, meaning it's like a +2. It's just nutty. These 2 cards are what allow us to play so many 1-ofs and 2-ofs, because everything Odd Eyes is doubly searchable. Triply searchable if you count Spiral Flame Strike, which lets you add a level 7 Odd Eyes Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, which includes Arc Pendulum, by the way. Alternatively, if you already control an Odd Eyes card, you can target and destroy 1 card on the field, meaning it's Rhoda that doubles as removal, and in a pinch, you can even destroy your own cards to clear pendulum scales or trigger Arc Pendulum's effect. In addition to all of that, we also have Duelist Alliance, which lets you search any spell, trap, or pendulum monster that has pendulum in its name, as long as you control at least 1 card in the pendulum zone, which means you can search Arc Pendulum Dragon, as well as Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon if you really want to. You can also use this to search Pendulum Halt, a card that says if you have 3 face-up pendulum monsters with different names in your extra deck, you can draw 2 cards. This is not something you can always use first turn, but it's great for extending your plays if you have a decent hand, or from recovering from destruction, which is why it's so awesome that you can search it if need be. Another card that combos really well with Arc Pendulum is Electromite, which I'm not going to go over in detail because it's a Pendulum staple that's been out for more than a year and a half at this point. Needless to say, it's additional search power that lets you pop your scales, which will trigger Arc Pendulum or let you get it if you don't already have it. Many of the stranger cards in this deck are just here so that you can turbo out Electromite. You need any 2 Pendulum monsters to make it, and preferably you want to do that before you Pendulum summon for maximum swarming. Chronograph, in addition to being just another 8 scale in case you don't have Arc Pendulum for some reason, can destroy itself in order to summon Time Gazer from the deck. Darkworm, meanwhile, can summon itself from the grave if you control no monsters and search you a donut. Both of these are good because they allow you to get a Pendulum monster on board without having to use your normal summon, meaning all you have to do is normal summon something and you can make Electromite. That's pretty much the reason for all these other level 4 or lower monsters. You have to play some if you want to go hard in the paint and summon Electromite before you Pendulum. Most of these have other uses as well. This green boy is an Odd Eyes, which makes him searchable and such, and he can protect Odd Eyes monsters you control from destruction during either player's turn. Eccentric can be used as spell trap and monster removal, which is really useful going second, and it's reusable in this deck since we have some super low scales like 0 and 1. Finally, Noble Dragon Magician is a tuner that can be used to make some niche toolbox cards like Meteor Burst and Moonlight Dragon. If you're looking to change out anything in the deck, it's probably these, since there's a ton of different options you can use to accomplish the same thing. For example, I used to play a lot more Dark Worms and Mirage Dragons just to take advantage of Celestial Spheres since they're all dragons. I also tried the newly unlimited Luster Pendulum alongside a package of Draco Slayer monsters like Ignister, and you can even substitute things I don't have here like Abyss Actor Curtain Raiser or Destrudo. There's just really so much Pendulum and or Dragon support available that the options are endless. Speaking of which, I'm sure you could put guard dragons into this if you really wanted to, but I'm fairly certain that one of them is going to be hit in the coming months, so I didn't even bother. Anyway, that's most of the technical parts of this deck explained. Everything else in here is just a tool that you search for specific situations, so let's just go down the line. Phantasma is a 0 scale that lets you discard a card to recover a face-up Pendulum in the extra deck, and on field it's a 3000 beater that can make its attack target lose 1000 for each face-up Pendulum monster in your extra deck, which is usually 3 or more. We play 2 of them because having it in scales is really good and summoning it on field is really good, so it's nice to be able to do both. Of course, it's a level 8, so you can't actually Pendulum summon it, which makes it a little awkward why we don't go for the full 3 copies. Usually you just summon it off of Arc Pendulum Dragon. Likewise, we've got the one of Dissolver, another level 8. In scale, it can fusion summon a dragon using stuff on your field or hand, allowing you to make Starving Venom for OTKs or Vortex for negations. And on the field, it allows you to fusion summon anything by using itself along with cards on your field or in your Pendulum zones. The latter effect is mostly used for making Performapal Gatling Ghoul, a 2900 beater who burns your opponent 200 for every card on the field, and then non-targeting pops one of their monsters and burns them equal to its attack. It's kinda situational, but when you do get him off, he can often do 3000 or more damage just on summon, leading to some pretty spicy OTKs. We only play one of these because its effect on field and in Pendulum Zone essentially the same, so you just need the one. Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, meanwhile, just deals double battle damage to monsters, which is pretty nice if your opponent has something weak you can attack into. By contrast, Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon deals 1200 burn damage for every Odd Eyes in your scales whenever it inflicts battle damage, which is great in pretty much any situation and responsible for most of this deck's OTKs. In the scale, it can also boost any monster you control by 1200 during the battle phase, which is a nice way to get over things that have more than 3000 attack. These 2 are your main level 7s, which is how you'll be making all your Ixies. These 2 are just toolbox cards you could replace with whatever you want, while Absolute Dragon is great going first. If it's sent to the graveyard, you can summon an Odd Eyes from your extra deck, which means you can make it, link it away for something like Heavenly Spheres since it's a dragon, and then get a free monster, usually Vortex Dragon, for that sweet negate/bounce combo. Moving back to the main deck, our Space Donut is searchable by Dark Worm when it's summoned. You don't really have to play it, but it's a free donut, so why not? Dragon Shrine and Foolish are just here to send Darkworm to the graveyard so that you can then summon it. You can also use Foolish on Noble Dragon Magician because it can summon itself from the graveyard if you control a level 7, which, you have a lot of. Our final main deck monster is Odd Eyes Persona Dragon. It's a scale 1, which is nice, and while it's on the field, it has a quick effect to target a monster summoned from the extra deck and negate its effects for a turn. This is a great thing to search off of Arc, Pendulum, or Heavenly Spheres if you go first, just to add more negation on top of your vortexes. We played it too just because oftentimes one will get removed and it's nice to have a backup negate. All that leaves then is the side deck, which is mostly just other cards you could play in this, some even stronger go second options. Nibiru is great in general going second, but for this deck in particular it can be amazing because there are just so many ways to destroy or even steal the token you give your opponent. Likewise, Evenly Matched is great in this deck because you can clear your opponent's field and then just build a bunch of negates yourself. If you don't want to play Archfiend Eccentric, which I know some people really don't like this tech, you're going to need some spell trap removal, and I highly recommend Cosmic Cyclone for the side deck, since none of the other removal options make much sense with this build, and life points aren't really a problem for you. Finally, we just have a couple more alternatives. Pendulum Paradox is a great recovery/extender card that is also searchable with Duelist Alliance, and the BLS link is made fairly easily with all your level 7 monsters. It's pretty neat, but I often found it's worse than just having regular Odd Eyes stuff or making some negates, but there might be some situations where you'd want to play this over something like Avramax or Borreload. But anyway, there's the deck. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to see Odd Eyes Beatdown in action, you could check out the main video. There I'll be playing 10 random duels against opponents on YGOPro, just showing off how this thing works in real time. Or if you're short on time, check out the replay video. Both should be on the end card and linked down in the description. Whatever you do, thanks again for watching, and until next time, good luck and have fun.